Thus spoke the mighty and uplifting voice. The voice of light that had followed the voice of night, of darkness. This voice of light coming directly from Savitri's source in the transcendent itself. It is the voice of the divine Savitri who is instructing the human Savitri. She is telling her first, Savitri must annul herself totally. She must annul herself totally. That only God may be. She must empty herself out fully, make an empty cup that only God is present in it, nothing else. Now that is one of the most difficult conditions, and perhaps that is a condition which can be fulfilled only by the female power. It is that which can totally surrender herself to God, empty herself out fully, and offer the place for the dwelling of God. This is the true nirvana. The Buddhist nirvana is to vacate the place fully so that the truth alone, the presence alone, the divine alone can exist. All the traces of nature, of cosmic existence, all its flaws, defects, ignorance, death, suffering, pain, whatever, even the good, all that has to disappear totally. The cosmic past has to be wiped out so that the cosmic future opens out. Savitri was told by the voice of the light, annul thyself, that only God may be. That is how she got the instruction, and then thus Savitri's work starts. In fact, at every crucial stage of yoga, Savitri gives direct divine guidance from her supreme source. She is instructed. Human Savitri is fully open to it. She has the contact with her original self, and she can receive directly what the original self would like Savitri to do. And that is how the yoga of Savitri is proceeding. In that sense, definitely in that sense, the book of yoga, book 7 in Shri Savitri, is the book of yoga for Savitri. It is not the book of yoga for me, for you, for him, her. No, it is not for anybody except for Savitri. It is specifically meant for Savitri. And therefore it is futile for us, it is wrong for us to follow the book of yoga as a textbook for us to do sadhana or to approach God. It is not that. We have to have our own book of yoga. Each individual has to have his own book of yoga. And that book of yoga for the individual will come to the individual when his soul is directly in contact with his central being. When that contact is established with his true being, then it is from that true being he will receive the direct guidance. Then it becomes his book of yoga. Then it becomes my book of yoga. Until then, we are trying to get some kind of a help from what is coming to us through the power of the word which is present in these revelations. It is that power which will work in us, and that is the value of Savitri's text for us. The book of yoga is for Savitri, but that revelation, that power of word, it is that which will make the impact. It is that which will urge us to find our own true self. And that is how, in fact, one has to approach Savitri. Through that power of the word, discover our own true self and receive the guidance directly from that true self of ours. Thus spoke the mighty and uplifting voice, and Savitri heard. She bowed her head and mused, plunging her deep regard into herself, in her soul's privacy, in the silent night. The primordial night is there all around. She is sitting in her soul, in the privacy of her soul. She has fallen into contemplation of what her true being had told her, to annul herself so that only God may be. She is musing on that. Thus spoke the mighty and uplifting voice, and Savitri heard. She bowed her head and mused, plunging her deep regard into herself. That is important, deep regard. With the depth of understanding and perception, we have to also listen to what we receive. We are being told, we are given advice, but we have to see in the depths of our soul, in our soul's privacy, in the silent night, aloof and standing back, detached and calm. That is the condition. That is what Savitri is musing. She has fallen into contemplation. And that is what she is musing. Aloof and standing back, detached and calm, a witness of the drama of herself. So she is looking at her own life like a witness Purusha. Sakshi, is this my life? She is seeing from a distance her own life and watching the drama of her life. That tomorrow my husband is going to die and I don't know what I am going to do. That whole drama is standing in front of her, but she is standing back and watching like a detached Purusha. Witness of the drama of herself. She has become the Sakshi Purusha. She is not participating in the drama, but she is watching the drama. A student of her own interior scene. She is studying all the movements, all the actions, all the gestures of the people who are playing the drama. A student of her own interior scene, she watched the passion and the toil of life and heard in the crowded thoroughfares of mind the unceasing trade and passage of her thoughts. In the drama, in that calm, standing back detached and calm, in the corridors of thought, in the corridors of mind, what is she seeing? She is seeing thoughts walking from place to place to walk. The thoughts are walking the unceasing trade and passage of her thought in the crowded thoroughfares of mind. In fact, our mind is a very noisy place. We don't discern various thoughts entering into it and moving constantly. A student, but Savitri is standing aloof from all those things, and she sees these passers-by, these thoughts, aloof and standing back, detached and calm, a witness of the drama of herself, a student of her own interior scene. She watched the passion and the toil of life and heard in the crowded thoroughfares of mind the unceasing trade and passage of her thoughts. All she allowed to rise that chose to stir, because she is standing as a witness. She is not going to interfere in their coming and going. She allows them to come and move. All she allowed to rise that chose to stir, calling, compelling not, forbidding not. She is not inviting anybody. She is not asking them to stop. She is standing aloof. She left all to the process formed in time and the free initiative of nature's will. Yes, whatever nature wants to do, let her do that. Whatever time wants to unfold, let him unfold that. Savitri is simply watching the show. All she allowed to rise that chose to stir, calling, compelling not, forbidding not. She left all to the process formed in time and the free initiative of nature's will. That is something tremendous, to watch your own thoughts and not interfering with them, not taking any part in them at all. Thus, following the complex human play, she heard a prompter's voice behind the scene. See, this is the beauty of Savitri. He has picked up the theme of a witness of the drama of herself. Now, all the aspects of drama are being described here. It is a kind of a long simile, what is traditionally called the epic simile, simile of the drama, the Homeric simile. Homer has long similes in his descriptions. Matthew Arnold has at times those Homeric similes in his poetic works. But this is a simile at a totally different level, not only psychologically, but also from a literary point of view. It is a simile which runs over several lines. In the case of classical poets, the similes are long, but not too long, maybe hardly 3 lines, 4 lines, 5 lines. But this is a thing which runs over a long passage. That is the beauty of Savitri's literary art. A witness of the drama of herself, thus following the complex human play, she heard the prompter's voice. The prompter is initiating the movement from behind, behind the scene. Perceive the original libretto's set. The whole text of the drama is there in front of him. He sees it, he finds it. Perceive the original libretto's set and the organ theme or the composer force. The force, who is the composer of the drama, who has written this text for the play, it is that Savitri is watching. Thus, following the complex human play, she heard the prompter's voice behind the scenes, perceived the original libretto's set, and the organ theme of the composer force. Organ theme, well, We might have huge, majestic organs, maybe with 10,000 pipes, and playing music in a big way. But this is an organ at a totally different level. 10,000 may not be enough. It is the organ team which needs an organ. We should have countless organs, innumerable organs. And it is that music which Savitri is hearing. And who is the composer of that music? The force herself, Shakti, her own Shakti. It is she who has composed the text for the drama, and it is that which is being played. Thus, following the complex human play, she heard the prompter's voice behind the scene, perceived the original libretto's set, and the organ theme of the composer force. All she beheld that surges from man's depths. Whatever is coming out from man's depth, from the subliminal, from the subconscious, all that is rising up, Savitri is seeing that. That is the aspect of the force, of nature's force. All she beheld that surges from man's depth. The animal instincts, what is that all? First, the animal instincts prowling with leaves, trees, the way the animals move. The impulses that whisper to the heart, and passions, thunder chase, sweeping the nerves. She saw the powers that stare from the abyss, from down below, from the gulf down below. The powers which are looking up, Savitri is seeing them. The animal instinct, the vital forces, all of them which are rising from that, Savitri is seeing as a part of the text of that music. All she beheld the surges from man's depths, the animal instincts prowling with lives of the trees, the impulses that whispers to the heart, and passion thunder chase sweeping the nerve. She saw the power that stare from the abyss, and the wordless light that liberates the soul. That is the thing. Savitri sees both the aspects. The powers which rush up from below, from the nether depths, and the light that comes from above in the drama of life, of existence, in that music, in that text, Savitri is reading all these aspects. She saw the power that stare from the abyss and the wordless light that liberates the soul. And what a beautiful line this one. And the wordless light that liberates the soul. See the alliterations of well. Wordless light liberates the soul. The liquid flow, the line. That's the poetry of Savitri. See, while he is describing all these beautiful things, the poetry also moves in that inspiration. Both flow together. The contents and the style, they rush together hand in hand. But most her gaze pursued the birth of thought. Yes, she is seeing all these thousand aspects of life. The music or the composer force is hearing with all these elements present in it. But what Savitri notices in particular are not these elements rising from above, something rising from below, something coming from above. She is not so particular about that. She is a witness Purusha. Yet at the same time, she is selective in her observation. She wants to see certain aspect, this aspect, this aspect, this aspect. But most her gaze pursued the birth of thought. Her concern is, where from do these thoughts come? She heard the unceasing trade and passage of thoughts in the corridors of mind. Mind is a noisy place. The thoughts are moving, rushing, on the pathways of mind. Where from are these thoughts coming? What is their origin? Is mind the creator of these thoughts? It cannot be, because mind is only a corridor. Thoughts must be coming from somewhere else and walking down these corridors. Where from are these thoughts coming? Therefore, her concern is, but most her gaze pursued the birth of thought. Where from are these thoughts coming? A franchise from the look of surface mind. Savitri can discern the presence of these thoughts. That is all right. She is particular to know the birthplace of these thoughts. In order to know that, she has to be free from her surface mind, from her Jagrata state. She must go deep within herself. Aphrensized from the look of surface mind, she paused not to survey the official case. Is mind the creator of this thought? She is not going to pause with that. That is an official case. We think that is the brain which is producing thought. Perhaps that is not there. She paused not to survey the official case. The issue of form from the office of the brain is factory of thought sounds and soundless words and voices stored within, unheard by men. Voices stored within, unheard by men. Its mint and treasury of shining coin. Savitri is not going to pause with that. Savitri feels, knows, perceives, discerns, has some kind of an instinct that cannot be the case. Brain is not the birthplace of thought, because she has freed herself from the surface mind. Affranchised from the look of surface mind, she paused not to survey the official case, the issue of form from the office of the brain, the factory of thought sounds and soundless words, and voices stored within, unheard by men, its mint and treasury of shining coin. They are not coined there in the brain, thoughts. They have their birthplace elsewhere. These were but counters in mind's symbol game. What these thoughts are there, what you are seeing, they are only tokens, counters in the game. Yes, I have won so many points. It is that kind of a counter these thoughts are there. These were counters in mind's symbol game. A gramophone's disc, a reproduction's film. They are not the original places. It is only a disc which is playing some other music. It has been embedded there elsewhere. A gramophone's disc, a reproduction's film, a list of signs, a cipher and a code, a cipher and a code, Morse code. There is a separate code for that. It is that Morse code which she is seeing that it cannot be from there, from that thing. Well, Shravandu has used the technical words of that time, gramophone, film for reproducing things, then cipher and code, Morse code and all that thing. Had he written Savitri today, perhaps he might have used some other symbols, CDs, videos, DVDs, and things like that. But that is the epic. These were but counters in mind, symbol game. A gramophone's disc, they are obsolete now, nobody knows gramophone. A reproduction's film, a list of signs, a cipher, and a code. In our unseen subtle body, thought is born. Not in the brain, but in our unseen body, the thought is born. The subtle body, Sukshma Sharira, it is in the Sukshma Deha that the birth of thought takes place. If it is not in the Sukshma Deha, in the subtle body, then it is something which comes from the cosmic field. In our unseen subtle body, thought is born, or there it enters from the cosmic field. So he has at once dismissed brain as something which is producing thought. It is not that. Thought would come either from the subtle body or it would come from the cosmic field. It is that Savitri is going to watch whether it is coming from the subtle body or whether it is coming from above. In fact, Savitri is going to see both the sources of thought from Sukshma Deha and from the cosmic field. These were but counters in mind, symbol game, a gramophone's discs, a reproduction's a film, a list of signs, a cipher and a code. In our unseen subtle body, thought is born, or there it enters from the cosmic field. Now this is possible only when mind, you are free from the surface mind, a franchise from the look of surface mind. Only then there is a possibility of tracing the arrival of thought from within or from above. Now this is something important also from the autobiographical point of view. Sri Aurobindo had the experience of what he calls the silent mind. It happened around 1st January 1908 when he was in Baroda. He had gone to Surat from Calcutta to attend the Surat conference in the last week of December 1907, and then he stayed there for a few days. He was in search of some guidance, some spiritual help. It is at that time his brother Barin, who has some contacts with people around, he made contact with Vishnu Bhaskar Lile, the Maharashtrian yogi, and it is Barin who had brought Lile to Baroda, where Sri Aurobindo stayed for a few days. In Baroda, as I said, around 1st January 1908, they sat in a room totally cut off from everybody else for 3 days in the palace of Jadhav, where Sri Aurobindo stayed. Lele had told him the first instruction which he had given to Sri Aurobindo was, Lele told him, you keep your mind silent and you will see thoughts coming from outside. You will see thoughts coming to you from outside. And it is possible for you to stop them into entering into you. It is possible for you to stop them entering into you. Within 3 days, he could get that siddhi, that realization. He could see the thoughts coming from outside and he could stop thoughts entering into it. And that is what he calls the silent mind, where there is no thought at all. It is in that silent mind he would get true advice, true inspiration, true adesh, true command. Whatever he wanted to do, he would get in that state. In fact, that was the state which never left him afterwards. It remained with him all through. The silent mind, what one would call metaphysically the passive Brahman. He had the realization of the passive Brahman within 3 days, and Lele himself was stunned by the speed with which he got it. That became the foundation of his spiritual life. In fact, it is not here, but it is there in other places in Savitri. In another maybe 6 months or 8 months, he got another major spiritual realization. After he went back to Calcutta, he plunged, of course, he was always there, but he plunged into all the political activities with that silent mind always being there. He wrote his articles, he gave speeches, he moved around here and there with a silent mind. When he was arrested in May 1908 in the Alipur bomb case, he was put in Alipur jail as an under trial prisoner, and within months of his being there in the jail, maybe 2 months or so, he got a major spiritual realization of seeing the presence of Vasudeva everywhere, in the prisoners, in the jailer, in the court, in the judge, all around he saw Vasudeva, 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 everywhere. It is the aspect of dynamic Brahman which he realized in the jail. To get these two major spiritual realizations of the passive Brahman in January 1908 and the active Brahman maybe around July, August 1908, within 8 months, two major experiences, something most remarkable. It has never happened in the spiritual history. These two experiences became the foundation of his future yoga. Now, when therefore he says a thought comes from outside, in our unseen subtle body, thought is born, or there it enters from the cosmic field. We can see that this is the description of a spiritual experience which he had himself. Now, he has left here two alternatives: thought coming from above, thought taking birth in the subtle body. Which of these two would have been in the case of Sri Aurobindo? Did the thoughts come from above, or thoughts are born from within? I would think that it is from above, from the cosmic field, that the thought was entering into him. There it enters from the cosmic field. It is perhaps that experience which he had around 1st January 1908. Why thought entering from the cosmic field and not thought rising from the subtle body? Because Lily had told him, you will see thought coming from outside and you can stop them. That is a clear indication that the experience which Shivandu had was the experience of thought coming from the cosmic field. In our unseen subtle body, thought is born, or there it enters from the cosmic field. Oft from her soul stepped out a naked thought. So this is the birth of thought in the subtle body, in the unseen subtle body. It comes out, steps out from the soul. Oft, very often, from her soul stepped out a naked thought, bare thought, unadorned, without any embellishes, luminous with mystried lips and wonderful eyes. Thought is a person, thought is a being. His lips are mysterious, his eyes are wonderful, luminous with mystried lips and wonderful eyes. Or from her heart emerged some burning face and looked for life and love and passionate truth. This is the quality of the thought which comes out from the heart. From the soul, the quality is mystried lips and wonderful eyes. From the heart, when the thought emerges from the heart, then the quality is of love, of passionate truth, of life. Or from her heart emerged from some burning face and looked for life and love and passionate truth. Aspire to heaven or embrace the world. That is the quality of the heart, thought coming from the heart. It aspires to heaven or embraces the world. Or let the fancy take a fleeting moon across the sky of man's common day, amid the doubtful certitudes of earth's allure, to the celestial beauty of faith, gave form as if at flower pens in a dingy room, laughed in a golden vase, one living rose. So when the thought comes out from the heart, it aspires to heaven, it embraces the world, or else it floats like a drifting moon in the sky, across the dull sky of man's common day. The way the moon drifts in the sky, in the night sky, in that way this thought also moves. Amid the doubtful certitudes of earth's Lord, that is the quality of our mind. Our darkness is that uncertitude, and in that uncertitude this thought moves like a moon. Amid the doubtful certitudes of earth's Lord, to the celestial beauty of faith gave form. The faith which is there in the heart, it is that it gives a concreteness when the thought arises from the heart. To the celestial beauty of faith gave form. And what does that form do? In a dingy room, it is a flower, it gives it life freshness, as if a flower prince in a dingy room laughed in a golden vase one leaving rose. So this is the kind of a thought which comes out from the soul or which comes out from the heart. A thaumaturgist, a magician, a creator of wonderful, miraculous things here. A thaumaturgist sat in her heart's deep, compelled the forward stride, the upward look, till wonder leapt into the illumined breast. It is because of him that the breast can become wonderful, luminous, and life grew marvelous with transfiguring hope. Because of this magician, there is a possibility of that wonder growing in us, illumining our breast, taking our life to a different joy of existence, and life grew marvelous with transfiguring hope. A seeing will pondered between the brows. So, either from the soul or from the heart, now the thought coming out from the brow, from Ajna Chakra. A seeing will pondered between the brows, thoughts glistening, angels stood behind the brain. When it comes out from here, these thoughts look like angels, shining bright angels. In flashing armor, they are warriors, they are soldiers, and they are there standing in front of us, standing, folding hands of prayer, like hymns, in flashing armor, folding hands of prayer, and poured heaven's rays into the earthly form. So when the thoughts arise from here, from Ajna Chakra, they are offering their prayers, standing there with folded hands, and they are pouring the light of heaven into our earthly form. Imaginations flow from her breast on earthly beauty, touches of surpassing joy, and plans of miracle, dreams of delight. This is what happens when it comes from the breast. Around her navel, lotus clustering close. From the navel, the thought is now rising from the navel. These are the thoughts coming from different parts of the subtle body. The 7 chakras, from Sahasrara, Ajna Chakra, Vishuddha, Anahata from the heart, Swadhisthana from the navel, Manipura below that, and at the base, Muladhara. Thoughts arising from those various subtle centers. Imaginations flamed out from her breast, unearthly beauty, touches of surpassing joy, and plans of miracle, dreams of delight. Around her navel, lotus clustering close, her last sensations of the teeming worlds, streaming the dumb movements of the unfolding idea. That is what these thoughts are doing. They are bringing out the movements of the unfolding idea. Those thoughts which are arising from Swadhisthana, from the navel center, invading the small sensitive flower of the throat, Vishuddha, that is the throat, invading the small sensitive flower of the throat, they brought their mute, unuttered resonances to kindle the figures of heavenly speech. When the thought enters into the throat, then the expression comes out. the speech is there. Below, desires formed, below the navel, Manipura. Below, desires formed a worldless wish and longings of physical sweetness and ecstasy. That is the vital joy. Longings of physical sweetness and ecstasy translated into the accents of a cry, their grasp on objects and their grasp on souls. Her body's thoughts climb from her conscious limbs, even from her limbs. Her body's thoughts, they are coming out. Her body's thoughts climb from her conscious limbs and carry the yearnings to its mystic crown above the head, Sahasrara, and carry their yearnings to its mystic crown, where nature's murmurs meet the ineffable. It is here one can meet, join to the inexpressible, to the ineffable. Her body's thoughts climb from her conscious limbs, every part of her subtle body. The thoughts are emerging from that, and they are reaching their higher self. Her body's thoughts climb from her conscious limbs and carry the earrings to its mystic crown, where nature's murmurs meet the ineffable. But for the mortal, prisoned in outward mind, we are locked in the outward mind, in the surface mind. This is what is happening when Savitri is able to enter into her subtle form. In a subtle body, this is what she sees here. But for the mortal prison in outward mind, all must present their passport at its door. These thoughts are born. But how are these thoughts received? By the mortal mind. Yes, from the subtle body, the thoughts come in this various form, but they have to be received by the mortal mind. How are they received? They knock at the doors of the brain. But for the mortal mind, mortal present in outward mind, all must present their passports at its door, at the door of mind. Disguise, they must don the official cap and mask. They must hide themselves to enter into that region, or pass as manufacturers of the brain. They should look as if they have been produced, manufactured by brain. Then only would the surface mind, the outward mind, accept them, or pass as manufacturers of the brain, unknown the secret truth and hidden souls. They are keeping them holding back. Her body's thoughts climb from her conscious limb and carry the yearning to its mystic crown, where nature's murmurs meet the ineffable. But for the mortal, present in outward mind, all must present, all these thoughts rising from the navel, from below, from the ajna, from the throat, from the breast, from the soul, all these thoughts. But for the mortal present in outward mind, all these thoughts must present their passports at its doors, at the doors of mind, to get an entry outside. Disguise, they must don the official cap and mask, or pass as manufacturers of the brain, as it has been produced by the brain, and known the secret truth and hidden souls. Only to the inner mind they speak direct. They cannot speak directly to the outward mind. To the inner mind, it is possible, with the inner mind, it is possible for them to communicate. Only to the inner mind they speak direct. Put on a body and assume a voice. Their passage is seen, their message heard and known, their birthplace and their natal mark revealed, and stand confessed to an immortal side, our nature's messengers to the witness soul. They are the messengers to the witness soul, our messengers. So it is only the inner mind where they can to some extent reveal themselves. But for the mortal present in the outward mind, all must present their passports at its doors. Disguised, they must don the official cap and mask or pass as manufacturers of the brain, unknown the secret truth and hidden soul. Only to the inner mind they speak direct, put on a body and assume a name, their passage seen, their message heard and known, their birthplace and their natal mark revealed, and stand confessed to an immortal sign, our nature's messengers to the witness soul. Impenetrable, withheld from mortal sense, our senses, five senses, they are not capable of recognizing them, of accepting them, of admitting them. Impenetrable, withheld from mortal sense, the inner chambers of the spirit's house disclose to her their happenings and their guests. It is only in the inner chamber that Savitri could see them. Eyes look through crevices in the invisible wall, and to the secrecy of the unseen doors there came into mind's little frontal room thoughts that enlarged our limited human range, lifted the ideals half quenched or sinking torch, or peered to the finite and the infinite only a little bit through the mortal sense could they sneak out, come out. What are our mortal senses? Sight, sound, taste, smell, touch, the five organs of perception: eyes, ears, nose, touch, tongue, touch. These are the physical organs of perception which we have got, but behind them are the subtle organs, and it is they who can receive this thought. A sight opened upon the invisible and sense the shapes that mortal eyes see not, the sounds that mortal listening cannot hear, the blissful sweetness of the intangible touch, sweetness, the taste, the touch, the objects that to us are empty air, perfumed nose, are there the stuff of daily experience and the common pabulum of sense and thought. It is their food, common food. It is on that they get the nourishment. The beings of the subtle realms appeared, and scenes concealed behind our earthly scene. When the subtle senses are awoken, then the beings of the subtle realms appear. The beings of subtle realms appeared, and scenes concealed behind our earthly scene. She saw the life of remote continents. With those senses opened, she saw the life of remote continents, and distance deafened not to voices far. She could hear even from far. She felt the moment crossing unknown mind. All the thoughts are crossing all the mind. The past events occurred before her eye, even the drishti of the past, Bhuta. It has opened out, and she is able to witness the entire past with the sight opened out. The senses are awakened, the subtle senses, because the thoughts are coming from her subtle body. The subtle senses are awakened, and she has now different perception of things. The great worlds of thoughts were part of her own thoughts. This is the oneness of thoughts. The great worlds of thoughts were part of her own thoughts. The feelings down forever and unshared. The ideas that never found an utterance. The dens of conscience, incoherent hints, let bear a meaning. Until now, what was kept hidden from her, that has now become overt. Let bear a meaning, twisted deep and strange, the bizarre secret of their grumbling speech, their links with underlying reality. So all the connections with the reality have now become obvious to her. The unseen, what was until now unseen, the unseen grew visible. The inaudible has become now audible. The unseen grew visible and audible. Thoughts leaped from a superconscient field from above. The thoughts are leaping. Thoughts leap down from a superconscient field like eagles swooping from a viewless peak. The way the eagle will swoop down, in that manner the thoughts are sweeping. That is what comes from the invisible, from the inaudible. The unseen grew visible and audible. Thoughts leap down from a superconscious field like eagles swooping from a viewless peak. Thoughts gleamed up from the screen subliminal depths. From above, the thoughts are leaping down. The thoughts are rushing up from below, gleamed up from the screen subliminal depths like golden fishes from a hidden sea. The subliminal sea which is there, from that the fishes are gleaming out. The shining thoughts are there. Thoughts are coming like eagles, or they are gleaming like golden fishes. This world is a vast, unbroken totality. There is a connection of the thoughts coming from here and the thoughts gleaming from below. This world is a vast, unbroken totality, a deep solidarity joins its contrary powers. God's summits look back on the mute abyss. So man, evolving to divinest heights, colloques still with the animal and the jinn. He is coming from above, but he is communicating because of this thought, this manasa faculty which has woken up in him with the animal and the titan. The human Godhead with stargazer eyes lives still in one house with a primal beast. The high meets the low. All is a single plan. So she behaved in many bursts of thoughts coming from various parts of her body, subtle body. So she behaved in many bursts of thought. If bursts can be of what eternal is, these thoughts are eternal. And if they can have birth, then this is what Savitri was able to see, that these thoughts coming from her subtle body. So she behaved the many bursts of thought. If bursts can be of what eternal is, for the eternal's powers are like himself, timeless in the timeless, in time ever born. This too, she saw that all in outer mind is made. It is not born, it is made, not born. a product perishable. Because it is made, therefore it can be unmade, it can be destroyed. This too she saw, that all in outer mind is made, not born, a product perishable. Force in the body's factory by earth force. This mind is a dynamic small machine, producing ceaselessly till it wears out with raw material drawn from the outside world. The patterns sketched out by an artist God. This too she saw, that all in outer mind is made, not born, a product perishable, force in the body's factory by earth force. This mind is a dynamic small machine, producing ceaselessly till it wears out with raw material drawn from the outside world. The patterns are sketched out by an artist God.